Hey everybody, Chris here. In this video, we're going to be talking about the recent price surge we had in Dogecoin and the liquidity grab, what that looks like, and how things have kind of settled back after the Trump tariff trade talk we had yesterday during the live stream. So please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell. You can be notified when my new videos come out, as well as when I do live streams, because we're continuing the conversation about Dogecoin's price, not only in comparison to Bitcoin, but all of the things going on for Dogecoin itself that could lead to a catalyst that will get Doge's price moving up. But right now, we're stuck between the order block below, the liquidity above. We're going to show all of that. Let me show you the charts in the news. Show you what I'm looking at. And we start here looking at the current Dogecoin chart right now at 17.4. That's right, we're at 17.4 right now. Zoomed out a little bit so we could see the movement of Doge from below 16 cents up over 17, came back and retested, comes back up to over 18 cents, comes back and retests, and starts moving higher until profit taking comes in. Came right back to the upward trend line, was moving up nice, and then during our live stream that we had on Wednesday, we were looking at watching Trump live, and we knew he was going to say something. We knew that it was coming. And of course, the news was saying, hey, there's negotiations starting between the United States and China on trade and tariffs. And Trump was like, no, we're nowhere yet. We're talking, he says, we're talking. And then this morning, China comes out and says, no, there's no negotiations going on. So talking and negotiations, where are we and all that? I don't know. But we knew that the markets were not going to react well to the comments that Trump was making. And sure enough, we came back below that upward trend line, came back, retested it, and then overnight moved down. But we were also talking about dip buying here as we were struggling to get back up above 18 cents. We thought we'd be able to right up until Trump started talking. And I said during the live stream, look for $16.99, right? Because that's how Doge trades, right? When it starts going back down, it's like look for just below the next level of support, because that is what you look at. So on Tuesday, when we came back, retested 17 and moved up, it just looked to me like, as we were up here battling 18 cents, that if Doge was going to retrace back down, $16.99 was going to be the buying opportunity on the dip. And that's exactly what it hit. That's exactly what it hit, $16.99. So here we are, starting to recover. Again, this is setting up in about an hour from now. I'm recording this about an hour before the stock market opens. We're seeing some movement up. What's going to happen? Well, most likely, and this is a 30-minute chart here, most likely what we're going to see is a little bit more upward movement, and then it's going to dump back down. Now, is it going to go back and retest 17 cents? It could, but this is what I see happening in the near term this morning, is that the stock market is going to have its impact on the price of Dogecoin, and Bitcoin is going to do the same thing. Bitcoin's looking like it's going to hit 93K. I don't think it's going to get there. I think it's going to be rejected and come back down as soon as the stock market opens. Again, this is how this setup has been going this week. That is what looks like coming for Doge. Overall, Dogecoin leads the losses among the majors. Bitcoin, ETH, XRP slump on profit taking. Well, yes, and we should have seen that, right? As soon as Trump opened his mouth, it's like, yep, that's a sell signal, right? For those traders out there, that was the time to sell and then buy back in at a lower price. Perfect swing trading opportunity we had there. And of course, we know that when prices decline, right, Dogecoin is going to go down at a higher rate than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin down 1%, Doge down 2%. That's how it goes when it goes down. But when we see the green candles and prices moving up, Dogecoin then outperforms Bitcoin, usually at a 2-to-1 ratio. That's typically how it goes. So XRP, Dogecoin lead daily losses, crypto rally cools. That's right. We're still not out of the woods yet on all this tariff, inflation, interest rates, Jerome Powell, like all of the stuff, right? It's still kind of hanging out there. So all of that economic news, you know, what the EU doesn't like the United States now, and it's just like, eventually we're going to get to a point where everything starts working together again. But right now there's still this uncertainty out there, and it's going to keep the prices from moving up. However, we still have a lot of optimism, right? Bitcoin just reclaimed the old range. If current levels hold, the next target for Bitcoin could be the range high up to 106. So this was the big fear and doubt, right, from the Trump tariffs, because that's kind of what led all of that uncertainty, was United States-based traders with the uncertainty of the tariffs and what was happening. So we had the dip down to 75. We've come up and we've reclaimed this support level of for Bitcoin, which is a very strong move there. And that's at like 92K. So we're above that for Bitcoin. That's very strong. And we'll see whether we can reclaim again 93K. Probably not this morning, but probably later. And this move up will be, I think there's still some resistance here at about 98.5 for Bitcoin to get over. But that will come when we see the markets moving back up. Gel also says, once again, third time charm, massive 200-day moving average reclaimed for Bitcoin. If history is any indication, it'll be a while before we test that moving average again. So we've had this before. This was last year, last summer, as Bitcoin was trading below the 200-day moving average. So we get above it. And once we get above it for the third time, right, there's two attempts, and then the third time we get above it, it doesn't even retest. And the same thing happened back here in 2023, right up above my head here, right? 2 times above, and then the third time's the charm. So here we are again. We've come above it twice. Now we've just come above it the third time. So, and that's at 88.6 right now, is the 200-day moving average for Bitcoin. Again, patterns do tend to repeat. But talking about patterns, and one of the things that we've been talking about is, you know, in the live streams is about, like, who could have seen this coming, the big retrace that we had from January to April. And I found this that we had looked at before from Stock Money Lizards. This was back in October. So October 2024, this was before the Trump presidential election. And this is what pretty much was being projected for Dogecoin. I mean, and Bitcoin as well, that we would move up in 2025. We would hit a new all-time high. There'd be profit taking, and then we would move higher later in the fall. 2025. There was no retrace all the way back down. None of that was predicted. And so, and some people looking now in hindsight saying, oh, we knew Doge was going to go down. And it was just like, no, nobody was predicting it. Even the TA guys, all these technical analysis guys, no one was predicting Doge was going to go back down to 13 cents. At that time, when we were at 13 cents back in October, everyone is predicting up and up higher. 4-year cycles, again, 4-year cycles, 2017, 2021, and then 2025, same thing. That's what everyone was saying. So now we have a new narrative, right? With the big retrace, fear, uncertainty, doubt, tariffs, all of that turns around. We can still reclaim these higher levels going forward, not in a bear market, according to me. And $1.25 is still being predicted for 2025. And this is Javon Marks. And he's still even with the big retrace that we've had, the charts with his technical analysis based on history still looks as if we will move up and reclaim 65 cents first, and then previous all-time high, $1 and over $1. That is still in play. So what about the liquidity though? And this is the big thing, right? Dogecoin respected all our demand zones, cleared upper liquidity, bullish momentum confirmed. New supply zone forming above the price, leaving more liquidity in its wake. No guarantees, the market can shift in a second. Stay flexible and sharp. What do we mean by liquidity? So we look at these heat maps, and here's the heat map for Doge right now. We're zoomed out. We're looking back to March. Last time we were up, above 18 cents here. And there was some big shorts. Some big short positions were opened at that time, and they kept them open. They kept them open. They didn't close the shorts, even when Doge was down here in the 13-cent range. They stayed open. So what happens when we're moving up? We're clearing that liquidity, taking out the shorts, right? The shorts get liquidated up here. And there's still more shorts higher from 18.7, 18.8, 18.9. Those are still open. A lot of those are long-term short positions still open. So this is clearing the liquidity here on the short side, which we had been predicting was eventually going to happen because there were no more longs to take out as price was falling, right? All the longs were gone, right? They took it all out. So that's why the futures, there just wasn't much futures for Dogecoin. But as we got volatile up and down, we had some short-term longs got taken out, shorts got taken out, but then up we went. So there are some new longs, right? Down here, 16 cents, 15 cents. I don't know if we're going to take those. Right now, it's looking as if there's more positivity in the market, and that's where this is going, is up. So I'm not saying we can predict the market, but wow, this was one of those moments where technical spoke loud and clear. Price respected every demand, kept climbing, hit the exact zones we had marked. That upper liquidity, the one price had left behind during its drop, gone, taken, absorbed. And that was this at 18.5. That was this 18.5 right there. That was a big amount of shorts taken out at 18.5. That was that exact price. So now that the liquidity above has been cleared out, we're in a new phase. Now there's more a little higher, but price is starting to leave fresh liquidity above again. Something I always keep an eye on. Tells me there's still unfinished business. There's a very interesting supply zone above the current price action. The way it lines up with the liquidity being left behind, let's just say, caught my attention. Could we see a push into this supply before a reversal? Wouldn't be the first time Doge pulled off a move like that. As always, nothing is guaranteed. Markets are wild. Price can do something completely unexpected and wipe out every textbook setup in one candle, which is what I say. The news is always going to overtake technical analysis, liquidity, whatever. You've got to be ready for it. Trader Allen is saying, look, we're back in this order block zone, right? We came up, we took out that liquidity up to 18.5, right? Profit taking, the Trump, words about tariffs and trade, right? That markets don't like. So the dip down, 16.99, and then we move higher. So that played out right there. That exactly played out. Was the dip to 16.99, and then we move higher. So kind of interesting how that all sets up for the next move. So join me on my next live stream, 4:00 p.m. East Coast time on Thursday, and we will be following up on today's action and looking again at some of the past clues of those patterns that could play again going forward, my bullish outlook that I still have, as well as more about liquidity. Leave a message below. Leave a comment. Let me know What do you think about this scenario here? And did you grab some $16.99 Doge, those that were looking to buy on the dip? Give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.